Make yourself cosy.
Okay, I'm cosy.
Make yourself at home. What's happening? Busy week?
Busy week in a few ways for me, yeah. I was up in Wellington, popped to caucus and let them know that I was going to chuck it all in at the election. How about that? Another socialist falls by the wayside.
Oh, very sad. Very sad. So who's in the running for the top job for Christchurch Central then?
Well, I thought you until you declined, but
no.
Because you're a local.
I am technically in the Christchurch Central.
Not a Labour Party member though, I don't think.
No, I might.
Which is a prerequisite.
I might be on the opposite colour of the colour spectrum.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately,
yeah. Opposite in terms of the sort of chromatics rather than the politics.
Yes, no, the spectrum, not the the spectrum of colours.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
The opposite of red, unfortunately.
Yeah. So no one's lined up. So it's an open field. But I suspect with a great electorate like Christchurch Central, there'll be a fair bit of competition, you know? Yeah.
Is any of the ones who went for local? Because there's the People's Choice, which is quite a few Labour.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. And I'll kind of take a step back from that process. I won't be in there advocating for anyone in particular. People want to ask me questions, I'll tell them.
Yeah.
But I think once you've been the MP, it's not for you to pick a successor.
Yeah.
That's actually for the local members and the wider party.
So does the party or the local party itself?
Yeah, I mean it depends how big and strong the local party is, but we've got a good membership in Christchurch. So the nominations go in, and there's this really interesting selection meeting, where they give speeches and so on, and there's a panel formed, a selection panel, and if you've got a strong local membership, it has a majority of local representation on it. But if you've got a kind of thin local membership, it'll have a majority of non-local sort of New Zealand councillors.
Very cool.
Yeah. So it's very democratic. Yeah.
Oh, obviously, it's got to be.
And it's kind of exciting because you're never quite sure what's going to happen on the day. Yeah.
Yes, I suppose it's kind of what we're all a bit scared of, because when someone who's been the incumbent, is it?
Yeah.
For quite some time, it's kind of a safe seat in a way.
Yeah, and look, I won the seat off Nicky Wagner, National Party MP and Minister, so it's not so safe that it's never been held by National.
Yeah.
But we had a pretty rugged election last time, and we managed to hold on to the seat. So that bodes well, because we are looking a bit healthier than we were. We seem to be a bit more popular than we were at the last election. So that's nice.
No, it's good. It's good. I'm very looking forward to it. At the same time, I'm very nervous.
Oh, look, I think we've got to be really realistic. It's going to be tough, right? We're kind of neck and neck, and a lot of water to go under the bridge. We've got to present a good alternative that kind of most of New Zealand can get behind, and as soon as you start putting up things, they start getting attacked, right? And you saw that with the Future Fund. It's a good idea. There are details to be worked out, as there are when you're in opposition. You haven't got the whole of government full of public servants to tell you exactly how to do it, and of course that's what's been latched onto. But I think it's a really good idea, kind of New Zealand wealth in New Zealand for New Zealanders.
Yeah, it's a good, nice little slogan there. I think that's really good messaging. I think that's something we've been saying, is that the left side of politics needs to get better at its. I think Pat says the pithy slogans.
Yeah.
They're not as good at those sort of attack lines that are very.
Oh yeah, and that was one of our challenges last election. After the election, as we were debriefing, you'd ask someone, what were the main lines for the National Party, and most people could spit out kind of three key messages.
They're still lingering.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, they're coming back to bite them now, right? But for Labour, the messaging wasn't quite so clear.
And I don't blame Labour at all, because COVID was sort of stripped you all back, and then just into sort of leaving, and I don't blame her for that either. I think there was just a hell of a lot.
Have you seen Prime Minister? Have you seen the movie?
Oh, I really want to go see it. I tried to get the husband onto it, but no.
Don't look at him like
that. No. Disappointed.
I've got the book though.
I do have the book.
It's actually a good watch. It's it's not that political.
No, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. It didn't seem to be that kind of film.
Yeah.
But those sort of biographical, behind the scenes type stuff is always very interesting.
Yeah, it's good.
Especially a life of politics. It's fun times. Well, so we'll be sad to see you.
You go with mixed feelings. But to be honest, 9 years, it's the longest I've ever had a job. Most of the time I get caught out before then, but I've managed to hang on. And it's like, there's stuff you want to do and you can't. Politics is all consuming if you want to do it right. And so it's time just to take a bit of a breath. So no plans, not looking for a job at the moment. So
no, well, BHN will always taking experts on our panel. Before we move on to the second topic, anything you're really proud of on the job?
When I got in, I got in when I was working for people whose homes had been damaged by the earthquakes and were being screwed over by EQC. And, I got in a government, with others that were determined to change that. And it actually did change. The EQC on-sold program was instituted, the Claims Resolution Service was set up, the Earthquake Tribunal was set up, and we just worked through a whole lot of claims with a different approach, with a kind of mandate to treat people decently, and it worked. I mean, I'm not saying that there aren't people that still don't have problems, in fact, but massive amounts of kind of backlog were cleared, and people just got a decent outcome, which is they weren't getting at the time. So that's actually why I got in. That's what prompted me. I did. There's so much stuff. I was chief whip in Jacinda's government, which is a great job. It's really behind the scenes. It's not a headline, but your job is to, make sure that your backbenchers don't make the news, right? You know what I mean?
It's a big job.
And it is a big job. And it was a real privilege to do that and just to keep the road clear so that Jacinda could do her job and everyone else was doing theirs properly. So it was basically chief HR for the Labour Party. But that was a real privilege to do that. And then, I was briefly Minister of Commerce and Consumer Affairs. We put some reforms around supermarkets and kind of gave them a bit of a kicking. We haven't seen the real effects of that yet, and it's still a work in progress, but we started it and I was in there doing that, and so that's all good. Open banking's coming, I did that. Insurance law reform, I did that. There's a whole lot of stuff. When you I didn't kind of know you were going to ask that question, but when you start unpacking it, there's a shitload of stuff. I chaired the committee that did the climate change legislation and set up the Climate Change Commission. All that sort of stuff.
And this year with the TPP
Treaty Principles Bill. I mean, it was never going to pass, but I was really proud to stand alongside my Māori colleagues and tell the country what a piece of shit it was.
And we all really appreciate it.
And we're doing that with the Regulatory Standards Bill now, right? And just kind of unpacking the really vile stuff and just pointing it out and saying this is not some benign piece of legislation. And it's good, I've got a set of skills which kind of help me do that, having come from kind of teaching law and stuff like that.
All exciting times. Speaking of law, strikes.
Oh yeah.
This is somewhat of a.
There's a strike.
There's a strike today. Unfortunately, we're not picketing on the streets because of the weather.
Which actually doesn't look too bad right now, but
yeah, it's kind of
a bit weird out there.
Probably wouldn't work so well with paper signs.
No, that's true.
They'd be blowing away. What's your thoughts on specifically the Public Service Commission and their ads? I would love to know what the legalities of that are, if there's any conflicts of doing so.
Well, it's either very close to the line or over it, right? You need a politically independent public service, and it's actually it's in the Public Service Commission should be the most independent because it is the leadership entity for all of the public service. And for them to be kind of saying that they're giving information about the strikes, which is clearly calculated to undermine the kind of legitimacy of the strikes, to suggest that in some ways teachers, and I think one of the ones I saw was a graduate, how much a graduate nurse is getting a pay rise, and it's like $8,000. Anyone who's been a graduate knows that once you've got your first year under your belt, you do get a good pay rise because you've been absolutely useless for the first year. You've only just worked out what to do in your job, and that's why you get a big pay rise. But that's not a pay rise to adjust for inflation. That's a pay rise because you are better at your job. And kind of conflating those two things is quite dishonest, and it's really unfortunate that Brian Roche, the Public Service Commissioner, has done that. And I'm just quite surprised because in other areas he's been very good and thoughtful, and he's, we certainly, when we were in government, he was a very useful public servant. But all of a sudden, he seems to be lining up next to the current government and kind of singing their tune, which is the opposite of what you'd expect.
Yes, it's all very, I don't know, I don't like it.
No.
It screams a lot of what we're seeing from in America at the moment.
Yeah.
It's really undermining the...
And look, when you're a minister or you're in government and your public servants who give you really good advice, but they do stuff that you don't want them to do, you do get grumpy at them. It's like, oh no, this, if you tell them to implement a particular policy they don't like, they'll do that, but they won't advise you that it's a good idea. It's always on the record that they think it's a bad policy, but if you're going to do it anyway, they'll help you. But aligning with the government because you're being brought under that pressure by a minister is the opposite of what a public servant should be doing.
What do you think will happen after these the strikes today? Because there's a huge public backing for our
well, we saw inflation figures come out, right, just the other day. And although the kind of headline number used was 3%, in fact, the real number for most working New Zealanders is a lot higher because, in fact, where the real inflation is in things like rates and government charges and insurance and things like the essentials, power prices, things that take up quite a large proportion of working people's income rather than luxuries. So, and I think they went up by about 12%. So it's a real problem. So it is a pay. If you're not getting a pay increase which covers your increase in the cost of living, not some notional figure, but what it's really costing you, then you're going backwards. So I sympathise, and I think the teachers, and firefighters and nurses and doctors, I think they should hold the line. And it's up to them when they think they've had a satisfactory offer, but the right to strike is critical. We are in the Labour Party, and there's not much. The whole idea that nurses are being irresponsible because they're withholding their labour, it's the only negotiating point they have. You can go to the table and threaten to strike, but if in fact you never exercise the right to strike, it's a hollow threat. So if you're not getting progress, it's not only appropriate, it's necessary to strike, which is sad.
I think this idea that striking hurts the public is quite interesting because the government could stop it by coming to the table and offering. I mean, it's not like it's unclear what the unions are all asking for and what teachers are asking for, what nurses are asking for.
That's right.
And it's always about pay, which it's not.
No,
and
it's
it
not.
Sort of seems like
right.
it's secondary, but you have to kind of do both at the same time as
you do both
conditions
at the
and
same
pay,
time
because it only comes around every so often.
That's right. And conditions are sometimes a little harder to capture, and because you're not in it, I don't know what a safe staffing level for a nurse is, or I don't know how much time off a teacher needs to do their professional development. So it's a little harder to kind of explain that in the public domain. But you're right, and that is, that pay and conditions are an important part of the negotiating process.
Yeah. Do you think we'll see a resolution for each of the unions by the end of the year?
This government is bloody minded, right? So I don't know. I seriously hope so. But the behaviour, the aggression coming from Simeon Brown and the like, sort of publicly vilifying these caring professions and teaching professions is really odd, and it's kind of, in terms of all my work as a lawyer, which basically is solving problems, right? It's like the opposite of what you want your clients to do. You do not want people who are trying to negotiate a resolution to turn the temperature up. You know, it's a very poor negotiating tactic.
I never thought of it that way. No, that's a good point. Well, is there anything else you wanted to say while we're sitting here?
Oh, you know, obviously mixed feelings about throwing the job in, but
It's still a year to go.
well, it is a year to go, and you know,
Still got lots to
I'll
do.
still crack on, and still very passionate about getting in, and actually, Paul Goldsmith, to his credit, Minister of Justice, sent me a text and said,
that's
you know, some nice, kind words about me leaving, and I said, no, I won't tell you exactly what I said. But I said, don't think I'm going to go soft on you for the next year.
Yeah, yeah.
Still got work to do, a lot of work, and you know, the Justice Committee today has been talking about this protest bill and where that's going to go, and we need to be fighting our corner constantly, and this government is really shit, and I do want to throw them out, and we've got a chance to do it, right?
Yeah.
So you know, you
Me?
You and your green mates
Yeah.
need to we need to make sure that we've got some alignment. You know, we're distinct, very distinct.
Yes, very much.
But we need to make sure that we present as a group of politicians who are fit to govern and would change the direction of New Zealand, you know, the direction that's going in. And so, yeah, I mean, it's exciting times. And look, I'm really excited about a new MP to come in and have, you know, a whole lot of energy, and come in a situation that was a bit, because I started from scratch. You know, there was it was a pretty, when you win an election from a national or other MP, you know, you haven't quite got the same infrastructure and organisation around you. So it's a pretty good proposition to come in to take over from an MP rather than start from scratch. So it'll be really good to see who. So I should give you an advertisement. We need you. No, we do. We need really good MPs, and it's a tough job, and you can see why a lot of people are like, shit, I wouldn't do that. But it's also really rewarding and exciting, you know, long periods of hard work and then moments of real elation when you achieve something. And so it's good. It's a fantastic job. I recommend it. 5 stars.
5 stars for anyone who's keen to take up the Christchurch Central seat. Yeah. Oh, thanks for having a chat.
All good.
I won't take up too much of your day. You can get home before it.
Yeah.
Don't know what's happening out there, but
no, who knows? And look after yourself.
Yeah.
I'm still here, you know.
Oh.
Here for a chat anytime.